All right, welcome Fort Belvoir to the Facebook Live Community Town Hall. I'm Colonel Josh Seagraves, the Garrison Commander, and joining me this evening is a special guest host from the Fort Belvoir Community Hospital, their Chief of Staff, Captain Syra Aslam. Welcome, Syra. Thanks for being with us today.
Thanks, Colonel Seagraves. Thanks for having me.
So today's town hall is going to provide just some updated information on COVID. We'll have a hospital update, some Garrison announcements on Halloween and other updates. We also have a special guest, a representative from the Fairfax County Public Schools with us that's going to talk about contact tracing in our schools and how that works. And then we're going to receive some program updates from a few Garrison directors. So Ms. Robin Wallen, from the Fairfax County Health Department, is in charge of contact tracing for Fairfax County Schools. Ms. Jen Hudson, our Fort Belvoir Housing Chief and former Ombudsman, Fire Marshal Terry Sowers, the Fort Belvoir Directorate of Emergency Services, and Mr. George Dixon, our DFMWR Director. So just a few ground rules since we haven't done a town hall in a couple of months. If you have questions, make sure that you post them in the comments section. And then if we don't get to them, which we won't get to all of them, but we will answer a few during the town hall. Please allow an additional 48 to 72 hours for follow-up, for a response to your question. And then if you have questions on housing, continue to work through your housing mayors. Use the levels of escalation and our housing chief for specific concerns. So first, we're just going to go ahead and start off with Captain Aslam for the Fort Belvoir Community Hospital update. Sarah, over to you.
Okay, thanks, Colonel Seagraves. Fort Belvoir Community, thanks again for having us. I'm going to be talking about three different topics today. The first topic will be an update on COVID-19. So in the state of Virginia, the current 7-day PCR positivity rate for COVID-19 is at 7.6%. Here in Fairfax County, where we are, the 7-day positivity rate is at 3.5% and has been trending down over the past several weeks, which is good news. In terms of updates from Fort Belvoir Community Hospital Public Health and the community, we've been partnering with the Fort Belvoir Youth and School Age Services, the Fairfax County Public Schools, and the Fairfax County Health Department over the last few weeks to ensure that we have a consistent messaging plan for parents as children return to school. And you'll be hearing more about that later on in today's town hall. As we work through some of these issues, we've been working on unified messaging that we'll be giving out at our COVID testing site near the hospital. So as families come through our COVID testing site, we will be providing a messaging product, hopefully that will answer many of the questions that parents may have about COVID-19 exposure and their children. With regards to COVID-19 vaccination, we are offering the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine at the Fort Belvoir Community Center. During the month of October, we will be open from Monday through Friday from 0700 to 3 p.m. in the afternoon. We are currently offering first and second doses to all TRICARE eligible patients, DoD civilians, and DoD contractors aged 12 and up. We do expect that the Pfizer vaccine will soon be approved for ages 5 through 11 with emergency use authorization, but at this time it has not been approved, and as such, recipients of the vaccine at present need to be 12 years and older. We have provided information to the Fort Belvoir Garrison with the QR code for scheduling to make it easy for families to schedule their vaccinations. Please stay tuned for updates on vaccine availability through our vaccine hotline, which is available at area code 571-231-7777, and also through our Fort Belvoir Community Hospital Facebook page. And I'm happy to take additional questions during the question and answer session. I'll now move on to an update on influenza or the flu virus. This season, there are many different flu viruses and they are constantly changing. The composition of the U.S. flu vaccine is reviewed annually and is updated to ensure that the vaccine that's available covers all viruses that are out in the community. All available flu vaccines in the United States this season are quadrivalent, meaning that there are 4 components designed to protect against the 4 main flu viruses that research indicates are most likely to spread and cause illness among people during the upcoming flu vaccine, or the flu season. The CDC recommends annual flu vaccination for everyone 6 months and older, with just a few exceptions. People who have had severe life-threatening allergies to any ingredient in the flu vaccine, other than the egg protein, should not get the vaccine. This might include things like gelatin or other ingredients. With regards to the egg allergy, the CDC does recommend that patients talk with their primary providers about receiving the flu vaccination. It is possible, but it needs to be performed under certain circumstances. And flu vaccine and COVID-19 vaccinations can be given at the same time, and we will be offering this at Fort Belvoir. In terms of our flu vaccine clinic, it will start here in the Fort Belvoir Community Center in November, starting on November 2nd and run through November 24th. And this year, we're also excited to offer 3 Saturday clinic dates during November to ensure that there's access to flu vaccination for the Fort Belvoir community. We will be closed on Sundays, Mondays, and federal holidays. In order to schedule your COVID or flu vaccine, you can just go through our QR code to our DHA appointing portal to schedule your appointment. And again, we've provided that to our PAO team with the Garrison. In addition, we're going to be having a Retiree Appreciation Day for the flu vaccine on October 29th, which will run from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Welds Fieldhouse. And again, the focus of this effort will be to ensure that all of our retiree beneficiaries have an opportunity to receive our flu vaccine. And finally, I'll end my flu vaccine comments with letting people know that there are several kinds of flu vaccine available this year. There's a specific one that is designed for older adults over the age of 65, as well as a specific one that's available for pediatric patients that is preservative and mercury-free. And so if you have questions about that, we recommend that you contact your primary care provider at Fort Belvoir to discuss this further. And I'll end my comments with some comments about Halloween. We know that this is a very special time of year for many of our children in the community, and we just have a few public health recommendations as we all enjoy Halloween trick-or-treating. We recommend avoiding crowded indoor parties, but and during indoor gatherings for Halloween, that everyone wear a mask. Outside, though, is safest for Halloween activities. We recommend maintaining 6 feet social distancing, if at all possible, and when eating treats, do so with people that you know, and also preferably someone from your family or household, and with appropriate social distancing. For trunk and treat events that may be taking place, we recommend keeping vehicles appropriately 6 feet distance apart, and to consider pre-packaging candy and treats to decrease the risk of transmission of COVID-19. And that does it for my comments, Colonel Segrave.
All right, great. Thank you. Appreciate it. Those
Thanks.
are all good updates, and I'm sure maybe we'll have some questions, maybe not, but probably so. So anyway, just a few things on gathering size and limitations on Fort Belvoir. So we still are at HPCon Bravo, so that's no change from where we've been recently and where we are. And so what that really means for the fall season and gathering size is sort of just a few things. And we at Fort Belvoir continue to hold steady at no more than 50% of workplace occupancy and 50% of fire code capacity. So those are pretty clear guidelines and different for different spaces across Fort Belvoir and for all our mission partners. But the feedback that I've generally been getting in the garrison and that our staff sections have been getting is that seems to be working pretty well for the majority of our organizations right now, and folks are able to stay safe with distancing and masks at those capacities. As far as outdoors goes, there are no restrictions for outdoor gatherings as long as 6 feet of physical separation is maintained. And then, you know, obviously if there are any policy changes, we'll continue to update the community. They'll be announced also through our website and social media platforms and the Garrison app. Those are sort of our standard channels of communication. I think everybody's pretty much tracking those by now. So scheduling Garrison events. So I don't mean specifically for the Garrison, but partners that want to schedule events, holiday events on Fort Belvoir. So the HPCon Bravo mitigations will remain, and that should be the baseline for your planning of these events. Modification of these mitigation requires approval by the Garrison Commander's Recovery Review Board. So previously we were holding that board weekly. We've recently done by exception events, but for the most part, all of our partners have been able to present plans and maintain HPCon Bravo capacities for the events that they've planned. So we haven't really had very many events to go to the Recovery Review Board. In most instances, an increased level of risk requires an exception through the Senior Mission Commander, and for us, that's the MDW Commander, Major General Pepin. His recovery review board convenes monthly, so plan ahead. And if you need to request a briefing through the recovery review board, there's an email that we'll post in the comments. That's a group mailbox that we use in our operations section. A few other events, or a few other announcements rather. So all outdoor community-based events specifically for Halloween, fall fests, fun runs, or carnivals should be able to maintain 6 feet of separation or wear masks. I think most people have masks on, and I guess we'll probably get the question of like, hey, is my Halloween mask good enough? I think what we said last year was no, you should wear the mask. Wear a regular mask underneath
your... a regular mask.
Yeah, underneath your
Halloween
mask.
Costume mask,
yeah.
right.
So I think that probably stands, but that's kind of common sense, so I think everybody's probably tracking that. So last week we took a poll across our social media platforms, and I know what usually happens when we give people surveys, right? They delete them, but in this case we actually got a fair amount of responses, so I appreciate it. And that survey asked what day the community wanted to have trick-or-treat on Fort Belvoir. And so this year, trick-or-treating on the installation will take place on the day of Halloween, which is Sunday, October 31st, and the hours will be from 6 to 8. I think that some of the mayors in the communities have already organized some things. We will distro this information again on our platforms if you didn't already know about it, and so that should just help provide some clarity. So we are going to also post that. I know that there's some of the community, right, in the past, not last year, but previously, we had allowed the public to come on to Fort Belvoir for trick-or-treating. So we will discourage that again. Obviously, if people are ID card holders in the military, they can get onto the installation. So difficult to control for ID card holders, but for the most part, we'll discourage sort of the general public accessing Fort Belvoir for trick-or-treating, just to try to maintain safety and security for the installation. We'll also post some guidance and safety tips along with the community Halloween events and activities on our website, social media platforms. And then I just ask everybody, like, as you're doing events and enjoying the holidays for the next, starting with Halloween and then as we move into Thanksgiving and Christmas and other sort of fall activities, let's just make a conscious effort to take extra precautions, because we do anticipate an increased number of people will be out for Halloween, but also for additional fall events that may be scheduled. Okay, I think we've sort of beat that one down good enough. We could probably go ahead and let's move on to our subject matter experts. So the first one I'm going to introduce is Ms. Robin Wallen. She, again, works for the Fairfax County Health Department. She's in charge of contact tracing for Fairfax County schools. Ms. Wallen, over to you.
Thank you so much. I am really thrilled to be here. It's such a pleasure for the health department to be able to partner both with the school district and with the Fort Belvoir itself. And as you know, here in Fort Belvoir, the Fairfax County Health Department provides the school health services. So we've had lots and lots of questions about COVID, because bringing kids back together all at once has certainly presented challenges. And I'm here just to share a little bit about what we're seeing in our community right now, and give you just a little bit of an understanding of the contact tracing process that the health department engages in. So the really cautiously exciting news is that we're starting to see a decrease in community transmission in Fairfax County. So we have gone from what we call high community transmission, which we were in for all of September to the very beginning of October. Now we are back down into substantial. And although substantial is still significant, it is lower than the high transmission. So we feel that we can cautiously say that we are heading down on the other side of this current wave of the Delta variant. So that's a very reassuring thing to see, and to realize that there's probably better times ahead as far as community transmission goes. We certainly are working with our schools to implement a layered mitigation strategy approach to trying to prevent the spread of COVID-19 in our schools, including promoting vaccination, and it's great that there's those resources here. on the base for those who still need to get vaccinated. We have extremely high rates of vaccination in Fairfax County, which is something to be very proud of. Our 12 to 17-year-olds have a vaccination rate of 83.35%. So much higher than the state and higher than the national averages. So we are very proud of that. And we really hope that those high vaccination rates will translate also into high vaccination rates for children 5 to 11 when the vaccine is approved for their use. So in addition to vaccination, of course, all of our students and staff are wearing masks at school. We are encouraging physical distancing. Fairfax County Public Schools is exploring a screening program, so you may be hearing more about that in the near future. They have worked really hard to increase ventilation and filtering of the air in the schools. Hand washing and respiratory etiquette continues to be very important. Cleaning facilities, of course. And one of the most important strategies is for staff and students to stay home if they are sick or have any symptoms of COVID-like illness. So that's a really important prevention strategy in our schools. And then finally, the one that we get the most questions about is contact tracing. So I'll first say that Fairfax County Public Schools has changed their protocols for students that are sent home sick. As of Monday of last week, they are now allowing students who have COVID-like illness and are sent home sick to do one of two things. They can either go to their healthcare provider and get a note documenting that it's the cause of the illness is something other than COVID or a negative COVID test, or they can just present the results of a negative COVID test and improving symptoms to return to school. So that's a change from guidance earlier in the fall. And that seems to be working really well. There's a lot of information about this on the Fairfax County website, Public Schools website, so I encourage you to check there. When we look at cases of COVID in Fairfax County Public Schools, we are starting to see a slight decrease. So for the month of September, there were a total of 855 cases in our schools. Mind you, this is a very large school district, so that's actually a very small number for the number of people that work and go to school in Fairfax. And in October, so for the first half of October, we've seen 217 cases. So that is about a rate that seems to be about half of what we were seeing last month. So that's very encouraging. But we're still seeing cases. And so different words get thrown around when we have a case of COVID at school. So I wanted to just briefly review the process and what those words mean. So if a school administrator becomes aware that there was an individual who was at school during their infectious period, so that is 48 hours before they test positive or before their symptoms started, depending on which is first. So when they become aware of that, they certainly ask that student to go home, and if they're there, and they identify individuals that might be considered a close contact. So the health department has given our school leadership guidance on what a close contact is in the school setting, and they ask those students to pause. So if you receive notification that your student has been paused, what that means is that the school believes that your student may be a close contact, and they have reported that to the health department, and the health department then in turn will do an investigation. So within 24 hours, the health department contacts families of individuals who've been paused. There is an email that goes home first, followed up by a phone call. And at that point, the health department makes the determination about whether or not a student needs to quarantine. So quarantine is what happens when you've been a close contact with somebody who is positive for COVID-19. And an exception to needing to quarantine might be that your student is fully vaccinated. So parents are given an opportunity to upload their student's vaccination record, answer a questionnaire about symptoms, and actually be released from the pause and not be quarantined if they meet those criteria. And then finally, isolation is the protocol for when someone is positive for COVID-19. In Fairfax County, the quarantine period is 14 days, and that not all regions stick to that 14-day quarantine, but our health department feels that based on the level of community transmission, it's very important to maintain that 14-day quarantine. The length of period for isolation is 10 days. So you may have a lot of questions about this process, and there is a lot of information available on the Fairfax County Health Department website. I have shared some slides that will be posted on the website, and there are links in there to answers for a lot of questions, who you can contact if you have more questions by email or by phone. And we just encourage you to reach out if there's anything that we can do to help you. And thank you so much for all that you're doing to keep our schools healthy and safe places to learn. We're very grateful. And thank you so much for having me.
Great. Thanks, Robin. Appreciate it. That was a great update.
Yeah.
So just to put it into perspective, Fairfax County is large. I think you said 885-ish or something total cases of like 178,000 students across Fairfax County. So that'll just put that number into perspective a little bit for you. Okay, so next we're going to have Jen Hudson come up and give a quick housing update. Jen, over to you.
Hey, good afternoon. As Michaels has taken ownership of the villages at Belvoir and is the new Army partner, they have implemented all 18 Tenant Bill of Rights. So residents can now request their 7-year history, really 4 with the database change. Use the dispute resolution process, so you'll have to contact the military housing office for that. And then all new leases will be under the approved universal lease. If you have any questions, please reach out to your community management team, and they'll be able to answer them for you. The villages at Belvoir ask that you take part in the playground naming contest. Harryford and Collier playgrounds are complete with mulch to be installed. And then the Vernondale and Rossall equipment is being installed now. And there will be a ribbon cutting ceremony announced via their app, Active Builder, and Facebook. In Cedar Grove and Fairfax villages, the concrete replacement, asphalt repairs are ongoing. Concrete replacement in Jadwin Loop and Fairfax are going through all the villages with the exception of Woodlawn, which is still slated for later development. The villages and I are kind of working on a mayor meet and greet along with the community management offices and the maintenance supervisors. So be on the lookout in your emails for that. Just kind of want to remind everyone of the levels of escalation. The military housing office is level 2 and the housing hotline is level 3. It is still being utilized, so feel free to give it a call if you need to. And then lastly, the military housing office has quality assurance inspectors, as well as we work with the industrial hygienists that are available for residents if requested for any issues, concerns with regard to your home. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Jen. Yeah, it's I think we've seen some really good improvements on the part of our housing partner. Michaels has done some really good things so far, and I think there's more to come. There's more good news to come from them, and I think we're on a much better track than we were. So just for everybody's awareness. And then, shameless plug for the mayor program. The mayors continue to play a key part in what we're doing, and so we do need some mayors. Several mayors. I know Jen and our partner have been working on that. So more to come on sort of mayor recruitment, and we're looking for volunteers, particularly NCOs or senior NCOs to help us out. They've been really effective in all of our neighborhoods. So appreciate all of our current mayors and look forward to getting some new mayors on board. All right, next we're going to have a DES update from Fire Marshal Terry Sowers.
Good evening, everyone. Last week was Fire Prevention Week, and we're going to talk about the sounds of fire safety. A couple little things. If your smoke alarms, they have 3 beeps when they're emergency or when they detect smoke. If they are beeping or chirping for every 30 or 60 seconds, this usually means it's a low battery. Simply just have them changed out to batteries, and then if you live on base housing, housing can also assist you in changing your batteries. The other alarm that we have in our homes is carbon monoxide alarms. Those are the same way, except they beep 4 times. And in the same way, if they chirp 30 or 60 seconds, they need the batteries replaced also. If they chirp after the batteries are being replaced, it usually means the alarms need to be replaced. It is recommended that all the alarms be replaced after 10 years. A couple of little side notes. If you have people that are in your house that are either hearing impaired or anything like that, install something beside the beds or in the home so that they can be alerted when the alarms go off. A couple other little notes is Halloween is coming up, so make sure that your kids are out visible where people can see them when they're in the crowds or walking on the streets. Have lights or reflective equipment on. That way everybody can be visible and everybody stay safe. And if you have any questions, feel free to call the fire marshal's office, or if you have an emergency, either call 911 or the base number is 703-781-1800. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Fire Marshal Sowers. Appreciate it. Good updates. All right, and for our final subject matter experts, we've got DFMWR, Mr. George Dixon. George?
Good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity to talk about MWR program services and events here on Fort Belvoir. Within MWR, we have Army Community Service. In ACS, we deliver our services in person and virtually. For example, in and out processing and Army Emergency Relief patrons are provided face-to-face services. Employment readiness and financial readiness classes are delivered virtually. October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. ACS Family Advocacy Program is committed to supporting victims, service members, and their families impacted by domestic abuse through victim advocacy and crisis intervention. Also in ACS, we have Operation Sugar Plum starting, which helps service members and their families during the holiday season. We start accepting applications for OSP starting 18 October through 1 November. Our newly renovated Specker Fieldhouse will open in early November. We will provide functional fitness here. Once open, Grace Fitness Center will continue weekday operations and the body shop will transfer to a 24/7 only facility. Virtual pumpkin carving contest begins 25 October to 31 October. 3 different themed categories with 4 age groups. Prizes will be awarded for first, second, and third place. Photos will be submitted on MWR's Facebook event page. For more information about our program, services, and events, please visit us at belvoir.armymwr.com. Thank you, sir, ma'am.
All right, thanks, George. Okay, now we're going to take at least one question or two from Facebook.
Yes, sir. We have a question from Facebook. Could you repeat when trick-or-treating is?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So trick-or-treating is Sunday, October 31st, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. or 1800 to 2000. Good. Thanks. Is that the only one? All right, good. All right, thanks, Eliza. Appreciate it. So, okay, just now a couple of closing reminders. So beginning today, October 13th, every student in Fairfax County will be bringing home an important survey called the Student Parent Survey for Federal Impacted Aid. This form is critically important not only to Fairfax County schools, but also for our specific schools on Fort Belvoir. So if you fill this form out, the results of this survey is about $3 million in federal funds that are awarded to the Fairfax County schools. The survey provides information to the Department of Education so that they can reimburse schools like Fairfax County with funds from lost property tax revenue due to the presence of tax-exempt federal property, which includes military installations. Survey information determines the number of federally connected students in the public school system and may determine funding from additional sources for programs that benefit military students. So it's a critically important survey. So if you're active duty military, we need you to fill out Section 1. And if you're a civilian working on federal property in Virginia, we also need your support by filling out Section 2 of the survey form. Fairfax County receives money only if it can be documented accurately on the student-parent survey. So do our part, ensure our children's school district is compensated fully by the U.S. Department of Education. The form is due by November 5th. So I think that was clear enough, right?
Absolutely.
Good.
Yep.
All right, thank you. If there are any questions on that, we'll post those reminders also in the remarks. So finally, the Belvoir in the Know podcast. So it's out. Find it on our digital platforms where you listen to your podcasts. The current episode focuses on ID cards and passports. I think that's been actually our most viewed or listened to podcast
Really?
so far.
Wow.
A lot of good information in there from our subject matter experts at the ID card office. And that, for some reason, that's always a hot topic on Fort Belvoir. The digital Garrison app, if you have not downloaded that, please download it and choose Fort Belvoir as your installation of choice. You can receive the podcast, Garrison updates, MWR announcements, and events sent directly to your phone through the app. We thank you for your time this evening and for participating in the Fort Belvoir Virtual Town Hall. Please continue to follow the current guidance, wear your masks, maintain good physical distancing, and wash your hands frequently. And if you haven't, get the vaccine. It's available now, and there's plenty of it,
Absolutely.
right?
Yep, absolutely.
Good, thanks.
Thanks.
Also, finally, just connect with us on our website at home.army.mil/Belvoir on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Thank you, everybody, and have a good evening.